Congratulations. You can buy almost everything. So, what do you buy first? You start where everyone starts. The apartment. Not because you need to, because you've walked past certain buildings your entire life, and something in your chest always tightened a little. You knew what was inside. You just couldn't get there. Now you can. The realtor meets you in the lobby of a building downtown. Marble floors. A concierge who greets you by name, even though you've never met. The elevator opens directly into the unit. Floor to ceiling glass. The city laid out below you like something you're supposed to own. You buy it that afternoon. 11,000 square feet. $12 million. You stand in it that night with no furniture, and your voice echoes slightly off the walls. You order food delivery to the new address. Then comes the car. You've had the same reliable, sensible, slightly embarrassing car for 6 years. It got you everywhere you needed to go, and you never once thought it was enough. So you go to the dealership, not the regular dealership, the other one, the one you used to slow down in front of when you drove past. The one where the cars sit in individual spotlit bays like museum pieces. The salesman doesn't treat you like you don't belong anymore. Funny how that works. You buy a McLaren, liquid silver, $410,000. You drive it home, and it sounds like controlled violence under the hood. You park it in the private garage beneath your building. You take the elevator up. You order food delivery again. The McLaren sits in the garage for 11 days before you drive it a second time. But the apartment needs furniture now, so you hire someone for that. An interior designer who has a 6-month waiting list, but makes an exception for your budget. She comes to the unit with a team, talks about lighting and texture and negative space, and a relationship between where you sleep and where you think. You nod. You tell her to just make it feel like somewhere worth living. 6 weeks later, it's done. Custom everything. Furniture that costs more than some people's cars. Art on the walls that your designer selected because it would anchor the emotional register of the space. You don't fully know what that means, but it looks incredible. You walk through it on the reveal day, and she's watching your face for the reaction. You tell her it's perfect, because it is. You go to bed that night in a bedroom that looks like a 5-star hotel, and you stare at the ceiling for a while. It's a better ceiling than before. That's true. Now the wardrobe. You've always worn what you could afford. Decent enough. Nothing that turned heads. You walk into the kind of store now where the clothes aren't on racks. They're on individual hangers with space around them, like each piece needs room to breathe. The attendant pulls things for you. Quiet fabrics. Cuts that fit in a way your old clothes never did. You spend $90,000 in 2 hours, and it doesn't register as a real number anymore. The bags are brought to the car. You drive home in the McLaren. You hang the new clothes in a wardrobe the size of your old bedroom. You get dressed the next morning in something that costs $4,000, and you make yourself coffee in your kitchen, and you sit at the window, and you look at the city. You look exactly the way you always imagined you would look. You drink the coffee. Then you start thinking bigger. Because the apartment is handled. The car is handled. The wardrobe is handled. And something in you expected to feel different by now. So you buy experiences. A week in the Maldives. Private villa. Your own stretch of water. Meals that arrive by boat at sunset. You take photos that look like someone else's life. And for a moment, floating in water, so clear you can see your own shadow on the sand below. You feel it. The thing you were chasing. It lasts about 2 days. On day 3, the villa feels smaller. You've seen the reef. You've had the sunsets. And now you're just a person sitting in an expensive chair in a beautiful place reading the same internet you read everywhere. You fly home early. You hire a private chef next. Because why not? A real one. A man named Daniel who has worked in Michelin-starred restaurant for 15 years and speaks about food the way poets speak about words. He comes 6 nights a week. Prepares things you can't pronounce. Plates them like they belong in a gallery. The food is extraordinary. That's not an exaggeration. Every single meal is the best version of that meal you've ever had. You eat at your kitchen island, alone, reading your phone. Daniel packs up quietly after each dinner and lets himself out. You start to notice that you say, "This is amazing," after every meal in the same flat tone you used to say thanks to a checkout cashier. Now your phone. It changed when the money changed. You noticed it slowly at first. Certain people started texting more. Old names surfacing. People you hadn't heard from in 2, 3 years. Everyone had a reason, a business idea, a creative project, a thing they've been working on that just needed the right partner. You meet a few of them for coffee. It's fine, familiar on the surface, but something is slightly off in every single conversation. A careful quality, like they've rehearsed it, like they know what they want to say, but they're performing a version of casual. One of them, a guy you were genuinely close with for years, pitches you 40 minutes into what was supposed to be a catch-up. He slides a document across the table, has a number highlighted on the third page. You tell him you look at it. You never look at it. He doesn't text again. The friends who don't want money are harder to lose because they don't leave over something obvious. They just slowly stop fitting. You invite your closest friend from before all this to the apartment. He walks in and does that thing where he says wow quietly to himself and looks around. You give him the tour. He's complimentary about everything, and you can't tell if he means it. You order the best sushi in the city, $240 a person. He eats it and says it's insane, and he's right. But something is different. The conversation keeps landing in slightly wrong places. When you talk about your life now, there's a pause before he responds. Not long, just enough that you notice it, like he's searching for the right reaction. He used to just say whatever came into his head. That's why you were friends. That looseness, that ease, it's not there anymore. He leaves around 10, says he had a great time. You say same. You both mean it somewhat. You sit in your living room after, and the art on the walls looks beautiful, and the city glows outside the glass, and the furniture is perfect, and you are completely alone in it. Then you meet someone. She's at an event you barely wanted to attend. Confident, funny in a way that makes you lean in. She doesn't seem impressed by anything in the room, and that alone makes you want to talk to her. 3 weeks in, it feels like something real. She makes you laugh in a way that most people don't. She pushes back when you say something stupid. You like that. You like it specifically because you've been surrounded by people who stopped doing that. Then one night, she mentions a restaurant you went to once, quietly, 3 weeks before you met her. A private dinner. Small place. You never posted about it. Never mentioned it. She catches herself. Changes the subject smoothly. But you heard it. She looked you up before you met. Of course she did. Everyone does now. But now there's a question you can't unhear. Is she here because of you, or because of the apartment, the car, the life she can see from the outside? You start watching moments differently. The way she looks at the view. The way she mentions your travel plans. Small things that might mean nothing. You don't know. And not knowing is enough. You stop calling. She texts twice. Then she stops. You sit with that for longer than you want to admit. You decide what you need is purpose. So you spend money on that too. You write a check to a foundation working on clean water access. $5 million. Real money doing real work. You feel genuinely good about it for about 72 hours. Then the calls start. Other organizations, other directors. Your name is out there now as someone who gives. Your assistant starts fielding 12, 15 requests a week. Everyone has a cause. Everyone has data. Everyone has a story about why their particular piece of the world is the one worth saving. You give to more of them because you can, because it's the right thing, because something about it briefly fills the space that the apartment and the car and the dinners and the travel didn't. But after a while, even the giving starts to feel like administration. You sign the checks. Your assistant coordinates the rest. The thank you letters come to the office address. Your accountant tracks it all for tax purposes. You're doing genuine good in the world, and it feels like managing a portfolio. 6 months in, there's a morning that stops you. You wake up at 6 a.m., not from an alarm, just awake. The bedroom is silent, perfectly temperature controlled. The sheets cost more than most people's rent. You lie there. Your phone has 43 notifications. None of them are from someone who just wanted to see how you're doing. You get up, walk to the kitchen. Daniel doesn't come until 4, so you make your own coffee. Stand at the window. The city is starting to move below. People walking to whatever they're walking to. A man in a jacket that's slightly too thin for the weather carrying a coffee cup, moving fast, probably late for something. You watch him until he disappears around the corner. You used to be late for things. You used to have somewhere you had to be at a specific time that someone else needed you at. Your calendar for today has 4 meetings. All of them are about money. What to do with it, where to put it, how to protect it. None of them required you to leave this apartment. So you go out, alone, without telling anyone. You take the stairs down to the garage, not the elevator, walk past the McLaren, past the other car you bought 2 months ago that you've driven twice, and you walk out onto the street. You walk for a while. No destination. No security. No one knows where you are, and the anonymity of it feels like taking off something heavy. You end up in a coffee shop you used to go to before. Old neighborhood. Same counter. Same handwritten menu on the chalkboard. You order what you always ordered. You find a table in the back, and you sit with it. The coffee tastes exactly the same. Not better, not worse, the same. And something about that is the most honest thing that's happened to you in months. The coffee doesn't know what you're worth. The coffee is just coffee. An older man at the next table glances up from his newspaper, nods at you slightly, the way people used to nod, like you're just another person sitting in a coffee shop on a Tuesday morning. You nod back. You sit there longer than you need to. You could buy almost anything. anything. A view that takes your breath away every single morning. Food that makes every meal before it taste like a rough draft. Clothes that make you walk differently. Experiences that don't feel real while they're happening. Space, silence, security. Comfort so deep and so consistent that you stop noticing it the way you stop noticing the sound of the refrigerator. You can buy proximity to people, but you can't buy the way someone used to argue with you about something stupid for 40 minutes because they forgot you were supposed to be somewhere. You could buy experiences, but you can't buy the feeling of wanting something for a long time and then getting it for the first time. You can buy art that anchors the emotional register of the space, but you can't buy the feeling of sitting in a room that's yours because you worked for it and it's just enough and it's home. You could buy someone's time, their attention, their presence, their very best version of professional warmth. But you already know the difference between that and someone who just wanted to be in a room with you. The apartment is still there. 11,000 square feet of it. The city outside, the art, the wardrobe, the garage with the cars. Daniel comes at 4. Your calendar fills with meetings about the money. The ceiling is better than the one you started with. That's still true. It's just that the ceiling was never really the problem. And that's the part nobody puts in the brochure. That you can buy almost anything. Almost.